panelists today. So first up, we have Heron Preston, who is a designer, DJ, and dog enthusiast. So give him a hand. Next up, we have Aleali, fashion consultant, model, and sneaker designer. Ashley Weston, celebrity menswear stylist. And our very own Drew Caldwell, Barneys senior menswear buyer and part-time intern. And of course, this panel is moderated by Jian Deleon, who is the editorial director of Highsnobiety.
All right. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Right.
Yo.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for coming to the Drop LA. Turnout's been awesome. If you guys haven't shopped and seen all the crazy installations, I think I'm still trying to figure out how to play pachinko on the Prada booth. Looks dope though. Looks dope. So today's panel is about the deeper meanings of luxury. All of our panelists are very familiar with the way that the worlds of street culture and luxury have always intermingled, but now that is sort of more evident than before, especially if you look around you and like the width and breadth of product here and the consumers that are shopping it. It's like I can't count on one hand the number of kids I've seen in shoes I can't afford. But, it's dope. It shows that really, a lot of the movements that Highsnobiety started covering 10 years ago have really achieved a whole new level and now are able to really permeate a platform like this. So the first question to the panel is, luxury, I guess, there's a couple ways of defining it. It's a sort of a signifier of quality or status. So, to what extent now is it a reflection of a consumer's taste, but also the value of a product or a brand to, its consumers?
Should I take it?
Yeah.
You guys hear me? Yeah, there we go. I guess I'll be the first one to speak. I think right now what you're starting to see is a shift with the younger generation and just younger consumers wanting to really reach out to and have brands that feel very special and very exclusive and that have a story behind it and that are aligned with their own values. So, you've got before, back in the day, you had the big brands, like the Gucci's, the Pradas, like the big competition. And now you're seeing a lot of independent designers actually go toe-to-toe because they have such a following, because they have a unique story. And, a perfect example is like Fear of God, Amiri, John Elliott. You're starting to see these more independent brands become huge in a short period of time because they have a story, they have a message that their consumers are aligned with.
Just to follow that up, you see a lot of emerging designers and, you've stocked a lot of people at Barneys who have gone on to become, larger forces. Like, Heron's line has like this awesome installation here. How does that factor into how do you define luxury for a brand that is young and is trying to get started? And, it's like if Barneys is the first store they launch at, it certainly means something about the level that and what they're bringing to the table.
I think it, at Barneys, I said this in New York at the last drop, but at Barneys, something we always look at is authenticity. Is a designer and a brand an authentic moment, or is it just some sort of, superficial skim off of something else? And I think, Heron is extremely authentic in what he does and how he creates. And I think that all of the brands that we carry, whether they are the old established brands, have an authenticity as well as the younger generation, and that those are equally impactful in terms of how they're viewed as luxury. That there's a quality, and I'm not talking about like it's handmade by 3 blind virgins on a loom in some hill town, but that there is an effort that's put into and thought and love and put into the designs, and that is being perceived these days as luxury rather than just it's expensive. It can be a $250 sweatshirt and be perceived as something really rare and special. So.
Yeah, I mean, building on with that, like, Heron, this question is more for you too, but I feel like we're all equally children of the Nike swoosh and like the crossed Chanel logos, right? And so the term authenticity is like a buzzword for sure, and it's about annoying as culture to me. But Heron, you did collaborations with like NASA and Carhartt recently, and you'll take like the Detroit jacket and put Swarovski crystals, and I think there is that bit of authenticity, but also elevating it so that it makes sense in this context of fashion. So can you speak more on that and like how you would define that and what you build on?
Yeah, I think it's just, again, with the Carhartt project, I wanted to stay true to their story and not get too far away from that, because that is the story that I fell in love with. And so when I decided to collaborate with them, I was like, I don't want to go too far from that story, because then we would be losing the meaning, the essence of the brand, which is workwear. And so that was kind of like my take on the collaboration, was kind of elevating it, but still staying true to their heritage and their core values of what they stand for. Because I think for me personally, when you kind of take it outside of its context, then it fully loses its meaning, and then I think it gets lost that way. And so staying true and staying honest and staying authentic is just something that I've always been very passionate about from just the early stages of creating. Talking about not having just like some people on a loom, but it's also like having this personal engagement with consumers, with fans, some hand-touched elements, and just also like being able to share and being inclusive and not so exclusive, how brands that have come before us kind of felt like, oh, I'm not a part of this world, so it's not for me. Where I'm taking this opportunity to be, my thing is like the face of fashion is like all of us. It's not just one face. Like, we are all in this together, and so that's kind of just always been my approach.
It's interesting you said like it's about being inclusive, but
Yeah.
I think in terms of luxury, exclusivity means something different. Like Aleali, you had a Jordan collaboration recently.
Yeah.
And you mixed the satin with like corduroy, and it was a limited release product, but the price point was something that people could ostensibly get. But so to what extent does price correlate with luxury now versus having something that not necessarily everyone else can get and wearing it in your own way?
I think we perceive like luxury, everyone has their own definition of what luxury is. And if you look at a lot of the brands that started, even like the really old ones, for example, Louis Vuitton, 1800s. And Louis Vuitton wasn't some guy that was super rich. He learned how to make trunks from his parents. And before he moved to Paris, he would go to the town that was closer to Paris and worked there until he gained enough money to go to the next town, until he got to Paris. And then he literally set out for his dreams and said, okay, I'm going to do this. And then that's when he started, catching the eye of a lot of popular people. So the princess or, someone from outside coming in because he made canvas coated trunks instead of leather. So you can travel with them. They were lighter. And, when it rained, it didn't mess up anything that was inside. And it was very personalized too, because inside a trunk, you'd have, okay, I wear a 7.5 in women's, but if this was my trunk, I had literally a space that fit my shoe size, that fit everything that I like, my dresses or anything. So I think of luxury, it's like we all come from the same place, and, it's all a matter of like staying authentic and, you know, really staying true to your core values. And I think through time, like, people start seeing that and people start investing more into it. And then they start learning about your journey. And then that's what makes it bigger. And so it's just like all these elements that really make up for it. And I think right now it's like a crazy time for resale and, you know, all this. Yeah, what is luxury?
Right.
But, you know, I think that is, for example, like what people are buying into. It's buying into the story. So that's what's going to make this resale price bigger than what it is.
It's not buying something, it's buying into something.
Yes,
right?
yes. You're buying into a lifestyle, you know? Yeah.
It's funny. Oh, go ahead, Drew.
No, I was gonna say I totally agree with Aleali about you know, sometimes it's about something being luxury because it's gold and diamonds and, you know, bling bling, and sometimes it's about luxury because of the journey or the story or the particular love and care that somebody puts into something. You know, Heron and I were recently on a podcast talking about his NASA stuff that's coming out for fall. And it's not because of any other reason other than you just thought NASA was the coolest thing that you could ever possibly collaborate with, you know, and that to me is part of what is perceived as luxury and cool today. I mean, you know, like right. is people that are doing things really wholeheartedly.
Aleali, you had mentioned royalty for a lot of, you know, giving a lot of these brands, older brands, provenance. Ashley, you were just on a cover with Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Right,
and, you know...
He always tells me that, right over left.
Yes. So, you know, you have the modern celebrity culture now, right, where that's helping influence the perception of certain brands. Of course, you know, these two have an insane following as well, and they have an ability to engage with an audience that puts product in like a different context of style, right? You can elevate everything from, you know, a humble hoodie to, you know, a pair of like track pants. So to what extent does our relationship with people on social media and celebrity culture affect the perception of fashion and luxury goods?
Well, I think that what you're seeing more and more of, and just in terms of me styling my clients, and what I notice their audience is gravitating towards, because, I mean, in the age of social media, you get a lot of comments, so you start to see what people are reacting to and not reacting to. And right now, I think for stylists, it's a really exciting time because we can now move less and less. Like, we're around luxury brands all the time. Big luxury brands, but it's not about that anymore because that's boring. We could do that in our sleep. I could easily put them in, you know, an incredible brand like Prada, Gucci, or Dior. But there are moments where I want to be able to discover a brand that makes beautiful clothing, that aligns with his values, that aligns with the image that we're putting out there and what we want to project. So it's like finding those more independent brands that we can lift up as well and also have like a really dope outfit, but be able to show that you don't have to go out and buy this brand from this store or whatever. You can, like, there are so many cooler, younger, fresher brands out there that are really innovative and exciting. And so for me now, it's like finding those brands and putting them out, because you know, I have incredible clients and I get the opportunity to be able to you know, I think shed some light on designers, and I think it's really fun to be able to find something that where my client aligns with their styles, but also with their stories and their values. So, and how they came up and all the blood, sweat, and tears that they've put into their line. And so it's nice to be able to kind of find those brands and give them a spotlight.
Yeah. Drew?
I also totally agree. I mean, I think that sense of discovery is really part of what's happening in fashion right now, and what consumers are really looking for is that sense of I'm not just being fed something from a big corporate entity, that I'm really expressing myself as an individual. And I think at Barneys, we've always really embraced that idea. I think for every one big name brand we probably have 5 things that people have never heard of, and that's really part of our core values, and part of the support of a larger fashion community. Like Heron was saying, we are all into this together, and we really believe that here, that we don't want to just support the Guccis of the world, but we want to support
Nothing against Gucci.
although Gucci's great, but we want to support the up and coming, the new kids on the block, so.
Yeah, and building on that too, I think it is final season right now, and one
Go
of
Warriors.
Go
Go Warriors.
No, you don't want the smoke here. Come on. But yeah, I think basketball players are sort of one of the best reflections of this new consumer, right? Like, Karl Anthony Towns was here yesterday. LeBron is wearing Tom Brown short suits to the pregame, right? And I think, they represent this type of new consumer that can communicate their spending power and their taste level wherever they go, right? Look good, play good, but, so what extent does the consumer have more power now to really have the tools to communicate their taste level with their purchases and their style?
I think a perfect example right now is, so Carla Welch, who is a fellow stylist that I absolutely love, she just did a collaboration with Levi's with her ex-Carla collection, and all the proceeds go to Everytown. And I think that's a perfect opportunity where you're starting to see a lot of opportunities for consumers to be able to subtly align themselves and to show their values and to pick up brands that reflect their values. And so there's a lot more opportunities with people identifying with the message behind the designer, but also seeing, okay, well, do their values align with mine? And if so, then it's like, you'll pick it up and be able to subtly or not so subtly show what your values are to the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's like, this is like a second layer to our skin. It's like our DNA, and so imagine the DNA of us is being so important, so special, and having so much meaning, and being able to, I think in the world that we live in today, there is just so much happening that we want to be a part of, and we want to express ourselves, and brands are a good way to do that. And so I think if the brands that are good at nailing their message, what they believe in, I think those are the brands that are winning, because people want to be just as expressive. And again, what we wear, it communicates so much. And it's more than the clothes, it's the lifestyle, it's the stories that you can tell your friends. Like, I went to that party, I met this person, they wrote Sharpie on my t-shirt, and I have this forever. Like, it's more than just the beautifully tailored suit. It's, again, going back to the storytelling that you can share with your friends for the rest of your life that other people may not be able to experience. And I feel like that time that you get is also like a luxury.
Definitely. Yeah, and building on that too, for Aleali and Heron, this question is for you guys. You guys are, part of this new creative class where people are following your IG stories and getting FOMO. People are looking at what you guys are doing as luxury because of the freedom you guys seem to have. You're traveling everywhere. You can express your ideas in a way that you don't have to compromise integrity. So in what ways does that tie into like what luxury means now, what people aspire to?
And I think that we're expressing ourselves in ways that other brands never did, because we have these tools like cell phones and social media, and we have DMs where I can go and like someone's DM, and that's like that's this personal connection that a lot of brands that have come before us don't really have.
Right.
And so we're remixing and rewriting these codes from the past for the future. And so, yeah, I think the more of like this engagement that we can do with like our fans, I think the better. And
yeah, no, totally agree. A lot of times I am, in places where I am with Chanel or Louis Vuitton, and there's, there's this barrier because we're so young, but we're like into this world that they have no idea. They kind of have an idea about, but they're just like, what are sneaker releases? Or why do kids line up and sleep outside and camp for these shoes? What's the reason why that shoe is so popular? So I think right now is just really an opportunity for learning on both sides. They're getting to learn who we are and vice versa. We're showing them through our IG stories and, when they hire multiple influencers, every influencer is different, So when a brand sits there and says, okay, I want to take these people on a trip, everyone's going to have their own take on the way they see things, what they're focused on compared to the next person. But this is all also to open up the doors for new people like us, because these old brands are also realizing that we're the next thing, And when we have children, we're going to tell our children what they need to buy, what was cool when we were younger. And, it's definitely, I kind of saw it as, there was high end and then there was streetwear. And
right.
Now it's like streetwear and high end, and it's the same thing, But with social media and all these platforms, we're being able to express ourselves where these companies can just Google, hashtag, and look at every type of person there is out there. Before, we weren't able to do that. Like, just imagine if Anna Wintour had an Instagram when she was younger. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or Andre, or,
Yeah.
So it would be completely different. But now I think, with social media and just the internet in general, it's just changing everything. And at a really fast pace, too. So, it's a little crazy.
Yeah, and that leveling of the playing field is so important. That street style coming up and meeting the designer world. I mean, it's all design. Everybody puts their all into something. And I think it's a really great thing that's happening. Everybody's mixing their, Comme des Garçons with their Supreme, with their, it's great. And really, this event is all about that, where you have Jerry across from Prada next to Heron. It's really all about, like, what that dialogue is and what it means for the future. And hopefully it means just that everyone will have more expression and more freedom to build what they want to build in terms of their brand or their content. I totally agree.
Like going off of the whole playing field, it's like now that we're on the field as well to play the same game, we're playing the game a little differently. And if you just look at sports like basketball, when it first started, like they weren't doing crossovers, they weren't doing big slam dunks. But then it took this new generation of athletes to come in and totally remix it, like the Allen Iverson days, like literally breaking people's ankles. Like basketball fans have never seen anything like that. And I feel like that's kind of even what's happening in fashion. Is like we've got now we're like next. I'm literally next to Celine, right? But I'm remixing it ways that she had never done before. And so I think like that is kind of what's making this like new luxury so special, is that we are kind of totally reshaping and shaking things.
Absolutely.
That people have never seen before, never experienced before.
That's a great segue. So that's my last question before we're open up to questions is, LA is home to so many young brands. Like, it blows my mind that Born and Raised is there next to like 424's Tupac collaboration. Like, I remember when Guillermo was making like Python Air Force Ones way back, So, that means there is there's definitely a space for more people. But if you're a young person trying to like have a brand, can you avoid the trap of like trying to call it luxury or trying to call it streetwear? Like, how do you define what the brand is? Like, if you're going to make a T-shirt that's handmade and you're charging $250 for it because takes you 5 hours to sew it together, it's like, how do you figure out what the context for your label is?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that kind of play a part. I mean, I guess before I was being sold in Barneys and Barneys of the world, it was just like, I was just kind of identifying as just like art or streetwear. But then when I got put in this context, it was like, oh, it's a bit more of a luxurious kind of offering and presentation. So, I mean, I think it kind of just comes with kind of the world that you decide to put yourself in, and just the different players that are on the same field as you. And I think kind of like that collective energy kind of helps define who you are.
You got to look for the vibes.
Yeah, you got to catch the vibes.
Right. Drew?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can now go to a store, like you can go to a small boutique that maybe used to cater to like skater kids and find some brands that are at Barneys, and that's cool. I mean, it's kind of going back to like, the fact that like, athletes, basketball players are like our fashion, they're our fashion icons, right now. I mean, that kind of melting pot of like, it's not just kind of models and socialites, that it's these different people that come from different places that have, that move from town to town in France or, wherever they're from, to get to where they are today, and how that story plays out and what they wear and what brands they adopt or how they design. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a really great thing, and reflective of society, of a bigger change in our society, hopefully.
Absolutely. All right. We have time for a couple of questions. Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Alana Arnell. First and foremost, I really want to say I love you, Aleali. I have like your magazine here.
Oh my gosh.
I also have a resume in my business card.
Okay. Hey.
I have resumes for you guys too.
Yeah.
Shout out to packaging. Shout out to packaging. No.
Thank you. But I do have a just like one question about pushing through in the industry that's basically all about clout instead of actual talent. Like, I know I assist celebrity stylists a lot of times, and when I try to branch out on my own, I get hit with okay, well, I got to charge you for this, that, and the third. And I know I like to invest in myself, but it seems like everyone is here just for the hustle, and the people who are actually making it are very kind of basic, or just, they're just pretty girls or just people who are hype, and they don't actually have talent. And people aren't paying for talent. They're paying for 100K Instagram followers that we don't have.
I totally feel you, but I think it's just the way that you look at it, because I have a great group of friends, Heron, and we're all in Barneys. See you, Fear of God, everyone, and it's really about. I kind of have like this tunnel vision, It's like I know what my goal is, right, and I'm gonna do anything to get to that goal, but it's like. Everything is happening around, and I know you can kind of get sidetracked with a lot of things, but I think it's really just stay true to who you are, and just keep fighting, because there's this saying, it's like if you're fighting, you're winning, and all of that, you got to think like quantity, quality, longevity, or short term. A lot of things come and they can also go. You've seen people on the internet where it's like they're hot one moment and then you just never even heard about them. Then you're like, oh, where is that person? So I think it's just, what do you want in the end? And, don't really think of it as clout. Think of, what you want to do and just stick to that.
It's like a comparison trap, right? It's like a comparison trap.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Instagram is, you have to kind of always remind yourself, and also, step away, because I feel like everyone feels like they have to do everything on Instagram, but it's like, if you do things in the real world too, that actually counts.
Yeah, it's like, just stay true and stay honest, because real recognizes real, and slowly but surely a lot more real ones are going to make it into positions like Virgil at Louis Vuitton. Like Virgil don't be looking for people that have like hundreds of thousands of followers, right? Like he's just looking for kids who are fresh, who are real. Same with me. Like I don't look for kids who have hundreds of thousands of followers on how I decide to like work with them. I think you're just kind of, you know, hitting a wall where there's like not so many real people at these positions that should be working with us. But I think slowly but surely more and more real ones are going to get to these positions that are woke, who know what's up and aren't jaded by like the clout. So yeah, just stay true to who you are. I love that you brought this up, and just, you know, stay true and stay authentic, and then people, like real people will notice you. You know what I mean? And I think that's how you will eventually make it through all of this. What's going on?
Also, I mean, just speaking from experience, I've been a stylist for 8-9 years. You do see some of the people that are just fluff, that are just pretty, or, you know, have a certain thing that just no values, make it, but they don't last, because the people with real talent that keep hustling, that know themselves and know the path that they want to take and the goals that they want to achieve will far exceed those people. And so never worry about that. I think that Instagram and Facebook, social media, tends to kind of distract us, and thinking that these people's lives are fancier and they're getting places faster than you are, but it's not the case. And in the end, you know, like everyone's saying, talent will recognize talent, and you will rise up if you know who you are and you keep hustling.
We have another question here.
Yeah, well, actually, I have a comment. My name is Desiree Hall, and I'm also a former New York City police officer, and I'm also the creator of the Baddest Bitch in the Game television series. The BITCH stands for Broadcasting Information, Transforming Communities for Hope. The reason why I created this show, I was blessed with this show, is to give people like you a platform, like the underdogs, to cut out the nepotism, to cut out the sexual harassment, like within the industry, and we give young talent a chance to come on the show, showcase their, whether it's music, whether it's clothing line or whatever. And I'm also in alignment with Satu TV, so there's a platform for people like you. And I'm in awe that you all are doing this and you're following your dreams. And like the panel was telling you, just follow your dreams, because whatever you put out into the atmosphere, that's what you're going to get back. So just always think positive, keep moving, keep pushing, and I would love to have you guys as a part of this show. The show is about, we have 26 episodes, domestic violence, bullying, all these different episodes that's relating to universal issues, because we all have those problems. I don't care whether you're rich or poor, you're going to encounter domestic violence, rape, incest, bullying, all these different arenas and topics that we don't talk about. So also the show provides real resources and outlets to help millennials really get actual help. So it's going to be a great show. So I would love, like I said, I would love to stay in contact with you guys and have you be a part of this, to give you the platform to go global. So this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give a hand for our panelists, please. Thanks for coming out. And I believe we have a upcoming panelist, Jackie Kim, will be doing the next one. So again, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.